In the summer of 1324, gold prices along the Nile began to fall, quietly at first, then hard. Merchants in Cairo who had spent whole careers trading the metal watched it lose value week after week. Grain and cloth and livestock got more expensive. Ordinary families felt it in what they could and could not afford. The damage would not fully heal for years, and the cause was not a drought, not a war, not the collapse of a mine. It was a single man, passing through on his way to pray. His name was Musa. He ruled the Mali Empire, and he was, by every credible account, the wealthiest human being who had ever lived. To understand how one man could destabilize the gold markets of an entire region, just by walking through it, you have to go back. Not just to his reign, but to the world that built him. The Mali Empire did not appear from nothing. It rose from the fracture of older West African powers, chiefly the Ghana Empire, which had dominated trans-Saharan trade for centuries before internal pressures and external raids broke it apart in the 11th century. From those ruins emerged the Keita dynasty. Tradition credits a warrior king named Sundiata Keita with founding the Mali Empire in the mid-13th century, defeating a powerful neighbouring ruler and uniting the peoples of the Western Sudan under one confederation. By the time Musa took the throne in 1312, Mali had been powerful for 2 generations. He didn't inherit a struggling state, he inherited a machine, and he made it run faster. What made Mali extraordinary was not its armies, it was what lay beneath its soil. 2 commodities ran the medieval world. Gold moved north across the Sahara to fund the courts and mints of North Africa, Egypt, and Europe. Salt moved south from the desert mines of Tagaza, where it was so scarce in the forest zones that merchants traded it weight for weight against gold. Mali sat atop deposits of both. The goldfields of Bambouk and Bure in the empire's west poured out the metal that fueled trans-Saharan commerce. Salt from the deep Sahara moved through Mali's territory on controlled routes, through the trading cities of Timbuktu and Djinguereber, built where the Niger River bent nearest to the desert. Caravans carrying these commodities moved constantly in both directions, and Mali taxed nearly all of it. Musa spent his first years as ruler consolidating that control. He expanded the empire's borders, secured its trade routes, and deepened its Islamic institutions. He was a devout Muslim, patron of scholars, builder of places of worship, a man who reportedly kept a circle of jurists and legal scholars close to him at court. Under his rule, Timbuktu was already transforming from a commercial stopover into something rarer, a city of learning. By 1324, 12 years into his reign, Musa resolved to fulfill the hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca, one of the 5 pillars of the Islamic faith. Every Muslim who is physically and financially able to make the journey is called to do it once. Musa was both able and, to put it mildly, financially unencumbered. What he organised was not a pilgrimage, it was a migration. Contemporary accounts describe a procession of staggering size crossing the Sahara. Courtiers, soldiers, officials, servants, heralds. Tens of thousands of people moving together across one of the most inhospitable stretches of land on Earth. Accompanying them were camels loaded with gold dust and bullion. The figures recorded by medieval writers are enormous. Low confidence. Specific numbers for the retinue and gold load vary sharply across sources, ranging from a few thousand to over 60,000 attendants, and from 80 to 100 or more camels loaded with gold. These figures likely reflect the scale of the impression Musa made on observers, rather than a careful census. Whatever the precise size, the caravan that emerged from the southern Sahara into Egypt in the summer of 1324 was unlike anything Cairo had seen before. Musa arrived to meet the Mamluk Sultan Al-Nasir Muhammad. The meeting was notable in its own right, 2 of the most powerful rulers on earth in the same room. But what followed over the next 3 months in Cairo would have consequences that neither man fully foresaw. Musa gave. He gave with the unstudied ease of someone for whom gold was simply abundant, the way water is abundant to a man who lives beside a river. He distributed gold to the poor in the streets of Cairo. He presented loaded gifts to every official who met him. He paid merchants prices far above market value for goods he didn't need. He built a mosque. His entire retinue spent freely across the city, flooding Cairo with West African gold at a pace the local economy had no mechanism to absorb. The result was swift and brutal economics. Too much gold entered circulation too quickly. Its purchasing power dropped. Prices for everything else climbed. Egyptian merchants who had gladly exchanged goods for gold dust found themselves holding metal that was worth less and less each week. The contemporary Arabic historian Al-Umari recorded the account of a senior Cairo official who lived through it. The king of Mali and his people had depressed the value of gold and caused its price to fall across Egypt. The disruption persisted long after Musa continued his journey toward Mecca. There is a remarkable coda. On his return journey, Musa apparently grasped the damage his generosity had caused. According to some accounts, he began borrowing gold back from Egyptian merchants at high interest, deliberately trying to pull the metal out of circulation and restore some of its value. Whether this effort moved the needle in any measurable way, the sources do not say clearly. What it tells us is that Musa was paying attention, that he understood cause and effect even when the cause was his own open hand. He completed his hajj, he visited the holy cities, and on his return through North Africa, he made a choice that would outlast his empire by centuries. In Mecca, he had met an Andalusian poet and scholar named Abu Ishaq al-Sahili. Musa brought him back to Mali. Al-Sahili is credited with some scholarly debate about the precise nature of his role, with contributing to the design of the Djinguereber Mosque in Timbuktu, completed around 1327. Low confidence. Historians dispute whether al-Sahili was the structural architect of Djinguereber or played a more organisational role. The mosque is firmly associated with Musa's patronage, but the attribution of the design itself remains contested. The mosque still stands today, a UNESCO World Heritage Site built from Saharan mud brick in a style that fused Andalusian and West African traditions. Around it, Timbuktu grew into one of the great intellectual cities of the medieval Islamic world. Its libraries accumulated hundreds of thousands of manuscripts. Its madrasas drew students from across North Africa and the Middle East. At its peak, the city may have held a population of 50,000 or more, and scholars there were among the best-paid professionals in the empire. Musa built that deliberately. It was his most enduring construction. Not a monument of stone, but a culture of knowledge. He died around 1337. The empire he left behind did not hold together. Successors struggled, external raids intensified, and within a century the Songhai Empire had absorbed most of what Mali once controlled. The trade routes persisted, the manuscripts endured, but the political structure dissolved as empires do. The world, however, did not forget easily. In 1375, a cartographer from the island of Majorca named Abraham Cresques completed what we now call the Catalan Atlas, the most detailed map of the medieval world produced to that point. On the page covering West Africa, a crowned figure sits on a golden throne holding a sceptre in one hand and a golden orb in the other. The inscription names him the Lord of the Moors of Guinea, the richest and most noble king in all the land. This image, a black African king rendered as the wealthiest ruler on the entire map, was circulating in the courts of European monarchs half a century after Musa had died. His pilgrimage had written him into the world's imagination in a way no battle could have. There is a strange poetry in how Mansa Musa is remembered. He set out to fulfill a private obligation of faith. A journey every Muslim of means is called to make, no different in religious terms from any of the tens of thousands who made the hajj that year. He was not trying to project power or impress foreign courts. He was going to pray. But what he controlled, the gold that flowed from Mali's earth, through Mali's markets, across Mali's roads, meant that even in prayer, even in pure generosity, he moved the world. The richest person in all of human history accidentally crashed an economy just by being kind. No one before him had done it. No one since has come close.